Hello and welcome to this week's vlog from Maddisons. Well, the good news bounce is continuing, and house price data shows that prices were up on the month of January against January 2019. So that good sense feeling continuing even though we are no longer officially a member of the EU. It'll be interesting to see what the next 12 months hold, but certainly at the moment confidence is good. And the north-south divide, my goodness, that does show real signs. I was interested to see an article that the Land Registry published which showed that the highest value sale that went through in December 2019 was for a flat in Westminster for 39.5 million, whereas the cheapest property sale to go through was for a terraced house, so a flat versus a house in Seaham in County Durham, which sold for a mere £20,000. I think that's incredible, those differences. So something we continue to see down here in the southeast, where we enjoy very high property prices. Whether that's a good or a bad thing depends on where you are on the property ladder. And thinking about closer to home, one thing that draws many people to Tunbridge Wells is our beautiful period architecture. So I thought I might like to have a little look at the different periods that we predominantly feature in and around the town. And I'll look mainly at the Georgian era. So the Georgian era runs all the way from 1714 to 1830, over 100 years of architecture. So you do see differences depending on whether a property was built at the beginning of that period or towards the end. Towards the end, the proportions generally got bigger and grander, higher ceilings, etc. But generally, the era was typified by symmetry and proportions. Quite often, the architects of the day would simply work out how many windows to put in by just doing the maths. It was all about making sure a property looked as symmetrically attractive and the rooms inside being as symmetrically attractive as possible. And towards the end of the era, you saw a lot more white rendered Georgian properties. We've sold lots of properties in the Georgian era, and obviously probably the most common and most popular Georgian area in Tunbridge Wells is, of course, the Pantiles. The Pantiles actually started way back in the 1600s, and it was called the Pantiles because Queen Anne, her son, the Duke of Gloucester, slipped, and so in 1698 she ordered it all to be resurfaced with these very attractive clay tiles, which were then known as the Pantiles. So that is where it gets its name from. Those clay tiles have long gone, but of course it holds its name. It's believed by many to be one of the most attractive Georgian colonnades examples in the country. But the properties that grew up around the Pantiles were much later than the Georgian era. They were in the Victorian time, when Queen Victoria favoured Tunbridge Wells for its spa waters and would regularly come down here for her health and prosperity. And that's when the real buildings of the Pantiles started. So I'll have a closer look at the Victorian era next week and tell you all about what that era is typified in terms of the architecture. Another huge term in terms of length of period that the Victorian era runs from, and then of course we have the Edwardian era, which I'll look at after that. But at the moment, probably one of the finest examples of a Georgian property that I have on my books is Upper Poston Farmhouse over in Chudley. It's a grade 2 star listed property. Now when something has a star listing, you might be interested to hear, a lot of people ask us, what does that mean? And it means that the conservation officer thinks there is something of particular architectural significance around that property. And for Upper Poston Farmhouse, it's all to do with the back elevations, which were originally the front elevations and the proportions. And there are also in the listing detailed many things like newel posts and beautiful architectural features like that. Another very, very fine example of a Georgian property that's just come back to the market for us is over in Otford, Holmesdale. That also has a grade 2 star listing, and that's because it's very, very unusual to have a semi-detached Queen Anne style property. So that one's back on the market as well. If either of those are of interest to you, Upper Poston is listed at 1.25 million and Holmesdale is on at just under 1.5 million. So if either of those are of interest to you, do give us a call. We'd be delighted to help and show you around some very, very fine examples of Georgian properties. Well, other listings that I have going to market at the moment. I launched last week a lovely 5-bedroom detached in Tunbridge. We've already got offers on that one, so that might be going very soon. A fabulous property, very, very close to the Pantiles, offered in excess of £1 million for this lovely 4-bedroom architecturally designed, first time to the market in 60 years property. And another one we've just listed, which has also come to the market for the first time in about 60 years, is a Victorian property on the Eridge Road in need of renovation and refurbishment, but has its period features intact beautifully. A very fine example of a Victorian property. So if any of those are interested, we've got lots going on. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you've had a good week, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.